So this is Philip from Rave the Requiem, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
Brutally delicious!
Hey, you're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast. I am Bruce.
I'm Chris. And I
And
like
today-
soft porn.
I don't even know what to say. I thought you were a soft porn engineer. That's going to make no sense to anybody listening, but follow through to the end, and I guarantee it makes some sort of sense. And you're going to listen to Chris a whole different way. That's awesome. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get Philip on the line, and let's see what he has to say.
Sounds good.
All right, so what are your guys' names? Could you please repeat it one more
Sure.
time?
It's Bruce, the one you have to remember the most because I have the button. It's Bruce.
Okay, Bruce is the one with the button, sure.
I'm Chris, the most
And
important.
Bruce is for Virginia Bruce, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we got...
I'm
And,
Chris.
I'm
I'm Chris.
and
I'm the
I'm
most
Dick.
important aspect of this show because I
you're
am.
recording.
All right.
And strangely,
and
even
I'm-
though I'm Canadian, I'm actually also in Virginia, but just in a different location than Bruce.
Oh, all right, so you're a Canadian in Virginia. All right. How's that
And,
working out for you? Do you feel welcome?
I do, yeah. Virginia is a welcoming place. And in the spring, it's
It is, huh?
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, it is beautiful. I've seen some pictures. A friend of mine actually used to live there a couple of years ago. He was married to an American wife and worked there for like 2 or 3 years. And he took some pictures from his house, and it's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah,
Like stunning nature.
it is, yeah. And Virginia in
Yeah.
the spring, I often say I don't think you'll see a more beautiful place than Virginia in the spring. But-
Probably not. Probably not.
And if you like to get out in the woods and do that sort of thing, as I do, there's plenty of real trails that you can get lost in for the day, and it's great.
Oh my God, check this out.
Wonderful.
So I've only been here for like 2 years. I went golfing last year in Virginia, and like
Right.
all of a sudden we come up on a Civil War graveyard, and it's on the golf
Oh.
course, and it's like
All
it's like
right.
this monument, and there's a Civil War graveyard. I'm like, what the fuck is
That's
this?
pretty great.
Wow.
This is
Yeah, 'cause
metal.
that is definitely metal. And I believe that some of the final battles in the American Civil War actually took place in Virginia. Am I
They
right?
did.
Or was it Texas?
No,
No.
you're right here. Yeah.
Yeah, it was in Virginia because that's where you guys draw the line, right? I
Yeah.
think Virginia, they were a part of the Dixie, right?
Yeah, so there's actually the White House of the Confederacy is actually right by my job here, about 10 minutes from my house. So when
Alright.
they seceded, that's where they had the South White House.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
They
Virginia's
built the city.
Virginia's changed a lot since then.
Oh, thank God, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's try and
What?
steer this. Let's try and steer this.
We haven't introduced Dale yet.
No, Dale, say hello.
Hi, Dale.
I guess we lost Dale again.
No worries.
Oh, hang on, he said
He'll be
his
back.
apology. He'll get back.
Okay, let's
So-
get started.
Let's get started. Let's talk about why we're really here. Tell us a little bit about if you were gonna do a two-sentence boardroom pitch about Rave the Requiem. What would
All
you
right. That's sure. A boardroom pitch. Well, Rave the Requiem is an amazing band because what we're doing is industrial metal music with lots of symphonic elements, gothic elements, and really catchy hooks, which means that we're mixing it up with pop music. We are like prophets of the new age. So Rave the Requiem is the band for you if you like really cool, modern electronic rock music with really catchy choruses.
You know,
Nice.
I was just listening to Crack the Sky before we got on. And,
Cool.
And one thing this is kind of a weird thing to say because it doesn't sound like progressive rock, but it has some of those elements of like the surprising things that kind of like,
Yeah.
like it's just pounding. And then all of a
Well-
sudden there's these choirs and synths that happen. And you're like, what? Where did
Yeah.
that come
Well-
from? You know?
Well, that actually makes perfect sense because people ask me a lot, like, what kind of music do you listen to? And people expect me to listen to really harsh industrial music like Skinny Puppy or Frontline Assembly or Rammstein. But honestly, I'm into Rush. I think Rush is one of my favorite bands, so that makes
Nice.
total sense.
Good-
Canadian Rush. they're
Good Canadian
fucking-
band.
Yeah, I know that, and I was devastated when Neil Peart, the best drummer in the history of the world, died a couple of months ago.
Oh, it was sad, wasn't it?
Sad. It's so sad. It's so sad.
And you know, that's the second real like huge Canadian musician that died of brain cancer recently, which is really weird.
Cool.
But Neil Peart, that like my Facebook feed was nothing but Neil Peart for like a week after he died.
Yeah.
You know?
Same here.
Yeah.
Yes, that's cool. But like probably are more coming because of the coronavirus thing. So don't worry. Lots of people are going to die.
Yeah. That is the truth.
Lots of in memorials are coming up, guys.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
What's it like over there for you?
You know what? It's not that bad, actually. I think, well, I don't live in Stockholm because Stockholm is a pretty bad place to be right now. Lots of infected people, and it's growing pretty rapidly. But I live in the south of Sweden, and it's a fairly small city. And I think we only got like 11 or 10 cases here right now. So it's not that bad at all. We're not in quarantine or anything like that. I'm still going.
Oh, Dale, are you there?
Dale!
Bruce, just tell him to quit interrupting us.
All right. Yeah, I'll tell him to quit.
So you're not in quarantine then?
I'm not in quarantine. No.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm a producer and a musician, so I'm pretty much always in quarantine.
I know. Everyone's like,
I'm not in additional quarantine.
Somebody asked me, how's my life changed? And I was like, well, I bought more beer to get through the time when when I can't go shopping. But other than that, I'm just sitting in my studio working all day. So I don't know.
Yeah. And I think that's a pretty harsh wake up call for any producer or a musician or creative person in general. Like my life basically hasn't changed at all. And everyone's online writing about how devastated they are. They're not allowed to go out anymore. Their lives have changed drastically. And I'm still here and I'm doing the same things that I was doing a couple of months ago. Yeah. And that is pretty fucking sad to realize. Like, what's going on, guys? You're talking about this coronavirus, but I mean, what's new, guys?
Yeah. Like I made a joke the other day to a friend. A producer goes into the studio January 1st, 2020. They come out January 1st, 2021, and everyone's just like, oh my God, so much has changed. And you're like, oh, really? Like, what's changed?
Yeah. What's new? I mean, my life is pretty much always adapted to the fact that the bubonic plague is outdoors, but it's not. But it's as it was, you know? So,
right.
Yeah.
So when I was talking about going out into the woods before, that's not your thing. You're more into the studio.
You know what? I can enjoy the nature. Sure, I can do that.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, because you know that, I mean, up here in Sweden, it's pretty cold. Not specifically in the southern parts. For example, we didn't get any snow here at all. We got like 5 or 6 days in total of snow down here in the south. So it's not that bad. But I'm a summer guy, you know. I enjoy really good weather. So I can enjoy the nature. Sure, I can do that, but I prefer to travel in that case. So I'm not always into cities. For example, I've been to the U.S. a couple of times. I've been to San Diego 3 times, and I've been to Jacksonville. It wasn't Jacksonville. It was Orlando and a couple of other places in Florida. And the nature in the South is amazing, as well as the Caribbean nature is amazing. The Southern European nature is amazing. So the answer would be yes. I do like the nature, but not particularly the Scandinavian nature.
Gotcha.
So, which is sad.
That's pretty weird that you guys didn't get a lot of snow this year. Don't you usually get a lot of snow?
Yeah, we kind of do. But then again, we're in the south and we're pretty close to Denmark and pretty close to the north of Germany, which is close to the mid-European weather. So it's a different thing is if you're up north. Let's say that you live in Stockholm and further up north. They always get snow weeks before we do down here because Sweden is an extremely tall country, you know. So I mean, there's a difference, definitely. I mean, it's still cold as a polar bear's ass sometimes, but
nice.
but I know we'll manage down here, and I wouldn't want to live further up north. I want to stay here in the south because it's a little bit milder, and in general milder winters, which makes life easier in general.
So how has this whole coronavirus affected your band?
It actually has affected the band quite a lot, unfortunately. And I mean, I think we're pretty well off. I mean, we're gonna have to cancel, and this is actually not official yet, but we're having a tour in Ukraine at the end of April. But as things are looking now, we're not going to be able to pull it off. I mean, it's just not going to happen, because even if we were to go there, I don't think that many would show up at all, because people are so afraid nowadays, and especially in Eastern Europe, they're not that affected yet. But still, people are really scared because they're reading a lot about it. So it's still like hidden territory for those guys, and that, makes people even more afraid. So no, nobody's going to show up, and it's just a waste of time and energy for everyone. So,
you
but
guys,
I'm actually, yeah.
Right, sorry.
Oh no, I was finished.
I said, are you guys doing anything or thinking about doing anything different to interact with your fans with the case of not being able to interact in a live setting? Like, I know people doing like live Facebook feeds or live YouTube feeds or something like that.
Yeah. Well, we've been thinking about it, but the fact is that we're in the studio right now, working pretty hard on the 4th upcoming album, which means that there's not a lot of time to do anything else. Basically, I work pretty much every day really hard in the studio, editing stuff and like sending stuff back and forth with the additional producer and mixing engineer. So I mean, we're the workload is just massive nowadays, so there's no time really. But maybe it depends a little bit on how things play out here. Let's say that lots of shows later this summer, the festival gigs are canceled, because that's actually what I'm the most worried about. For example, the fact that we're playing at Meryl Luna, a pretty fucking big festival in Germany. Mm-hmm. And we're playing main stage this year, which is a pretty cool thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm pretty worried about that, because that's a big thing in our world. And it's definitely a big step forward career-wise. So I'm worried about that. And if, all of those festivals were to get canceled, then yeah, I think we're going to do something else for the fans, because we need to, keep the band alive, let the world know that we're still out there, we're still a band, we're still active, we haven't died, you got to show the world some signs of life.
Right. No, I agree.
Yeah.
Let's check. Dale, are you there?
Poor Dale.
Poor Dale.
Things aren't really working out for Dale.
No, he sent me a message. He said he can hear us. I was going to give him a shot again. Well, Dale, just for a little reference, Dale is one of our listeners, and we just kind of brought him on during this home not working. We figured we'd bring him on and get a little listener interaction. So sorry it didn't work out, Dale.
Poor Dale.
So poor Dale.
I'm here for you, Dale. Okay.
Nice. What do you guys when you guys are writing, I mean, you're all in the same place. Are you writing in the studio together, like in the old school way, bouncing things off each other, or are you emailing stuff and taking advantage of technology?
Well, to be honest, I'm pretty much the only one who's doing the composing thing. I write all the music and lyrics, and I produce the entire album, and I produce like all music. But I would say that the whole cooperative thing starts when it's about to arrange the music, because that's when I want a second input. For example, from the drummer, like, do you want to do any fills here and there? Like, do you have an input on the percussion sections? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, to begin with, I usually spend like a year in total just working alone in the studio. So it's a pretty lonely job, but like after about a year, I start to record, and I start the recording sessions, which means that I'm about to record guitars, and then I also send stuff to the bass player, and he's recording bass from his home studio, and I'm working from my home studio. So we're a pretty digital band, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how we're working. But we actually spent the weekend in Örebro, which is a Swedish city, at the renowned metal studio called Fascination Street Studios. And they've been working with some pretty big metal acts like Amon Amarth, Dark Tranquillity, Baby Metal, Dimmu Borgir, lots of metal acts. So they're really good. Those guys know what they're doing. But we were there and we recorded some vocals and we reamped some guitars because it's always good to go there and actually meet the engineer in person. It's a creative process, which is good. And I also need a second opinion sometimes because, you tend to get blind after you sit a while in the studio and you've been all alone for months. You know what I'm saying? It's
Absolutely.
yeah, you get blind for your own music. You can't tell anymore. You can't tell the difference between what's good and what's bad. And sometimes you just overworking stuff. Like it was actually good before you started overdoing it. But you're not in any state of mind to actually tell what's good or what's bad anymore. So that's why you need a second opinion. But I like that process. It really works out for us. And since I'm the one doing all the composing and all the lyrics writing and so on, I think it works. It works for us. And I'm a lone wolf. I have to admit that. I prefer to work alone in the studio and do my things.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great.
All right, cool. Chris, what else you got, Chris?
I don't have anything, but thanks for joining us today, and I'm really happy that I got to discover your band today.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. This is one of the reasons Chris has done this. I know he usually tells you, but one of the reasons he's done this is hasn't been a metalhead his whole life or a hard music fan, and we met a few years ago on the 70,000 Tons of Metal cruise, and he kind of got into it, and so now I brought him alongside here, and he's learning about these bands as we go along. So it's kind of cool.
Okay, cool. So what kind of music were you into before?
Like in high school, it was like hair metal, Motley Crue, stuff like that. And then in the 90s, I went full grunge because the 90s happened when I was like 14, 15. So
I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
So I went through that. And then some friends of mine started 70,000 Tons of Metal. And that's cool. And to support them, I went on the first cruise, and that's when this thing happened, and I was like, "Holy fuck, I love metal!"
Yeah.
Like,
and he had the good fortune of meeting me,
and I met Bruce there.
Yeah,
and,
all right.
And we've stayed in touch ever since. And then since then, I've done a lot of like software development and stuff like that. But I'm an audio engineer by trade. That's what I do. But
I thought you said soft porn, but it was soft core, I assume.
No, soft.
Yes.
It would have been embarrassing otherwise. Like, who the fuck's doing soft porn anymore?
Software.
He's a soft porn engineer.
Is anybody doing that anymore? Who the hell watches soft porn?
Chris is bringing it back.
That's awesome.
That was a thing during the 90s, man. It's so dead nowadays. Come on. People want the real stuff.
That's like the Lifetime Network or something. Chris is the Lifetime Network star.
Oh, God. Okay, no, but I develop virtual instruments. So no, and for music, not for soft porn. I don't develop virtual instruments for soft porn.
Right.
So you're
developing
for soft porn.
Right. Virtual vibrators.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Soft porn, the only porn which doesn't get you hard. So that's amazing.
Hey, remember when you were a kid and the magazines used to make you horny? Yeah, with the internet, it doesn't work that way anymore.
No. All right, we've gone way off the rails here.
Yeah, all right, we're way off track here. Okay, sorry.
Awesome.
Philip, I thank you very much. That was a great time.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Really good interview, and I guarantee you we're all going to look for soft porn right now.
Yeah,
thank you. I'm going to do that as well. I mean, it's pretty hard to find nowadays, isn't it? I mean,
5 listeners we have are going to look at it right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, search for those erotic thrillers from the 90s. You know what I mean? Like, there were a couple of those, actually. But
I don't know how we ended up here, but thank you for taking it, and I appreciate it.
Me neither. Well, I appreciate the interview, guys. Thanks for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Stay safe. Be well and stay safe.
You too. All right. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello out there.
Yes, hello out there, everyone. I'm Hal Schwartz.
And I'm Flynn McLean.
Together we host None But the Brave, a podcast dedicated to the music and career of Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce and E Street Band are on tour right now for the first time in 6 years, and we're taking a detailed look at what's happening on stage in our bi-weekly episodes.
We've also been recently joined by some very exciting guests, including rock journalist Warren Zanes and Stephen Hayden, Backstreet's Magazine founder Charles Cross, and Barstool's Kirk Minahan.
If you're a diehard Springsteen fan, this is the show for you.
So please subscribe to None But the Brave on your favorite podcasting platform, and we hope to see you further on up the road.
Thank you so much. We'll be seeing you.